Good evening. Killing the cybersecurity kill chain. I'm Niranjan Megamana, MSc in Cybersecurity, Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. Threat modeling. Threat modeling identifies potential threats and the vulnerabilities in a threat landscape to help implement effective security controls for mitigations. Vulnerability is weakness in the security system. A threat is the circumstances that cause harm. An attack, it exploits the said vulnerability. It can create interruptions, interceptions, modifications, and fabrication. They impact the confidentiality of your information, integrity of your information, and availability of your information and your systems. Threat modeling aims to analyze all these areas, detect, prevent, recover, and review. There are other areas, but I brought this concept into a model like this so that we can protect an organization and its information. There are many threat modeling methods. For example, Stride, that is from Microsoft, Pasta, Trig, Was, Red, and Octave. Octave Algro is a simpler uh, model. And Mitre Attack, which gives huge database of potential attacks and threats as a very easily navigatable. If you look at this, there are matrices, tactics, techniques, data sources, mitigations, software, resources, blog, and contribute. So, for example, the technique is reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, execution, persistence. So, if you look at reconnaissance, it shows you what are the type of recon techniques like active scanning, spanning IP blocks, say vulnerability scanning. And you can drill down into what is vulnerability scanning, what are the procedures, what kind of people are doing this, and what are the methods of mitigation and detection and examples of incidents. So, this is a huge threat model. But when you're starting with your organization, you might have so many threats, but you need to focus it to very specific threats that are relevant to your organization. There is also OWASP model, which is mainly for web applications. All these methods depends on the threat landscape. The threats that is in America and Sri Lanka or in India are may be different from each other. There may be common threats. So, for example, strike methodology focuses on spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, and denial of service and elevation of privilege, which affects spoofing, authentication, tampering affects integrity, repudiation affects non-repudiation. Information disclosure affect confidentiality. Denial of service affect availability. And elevation of privilege effect authorization. And the method which is very popular is PASTA, which has 7 steps. It's mainly useful for software development. Define the objectives. What do you want to do in this threat modeling? Define your technical scope and decompose your application and analysis. You go into code level and you analyze threat analysis like SQL injection, where there is any buffer overflows possible through user inputs, and identify vulnerabilities and weaknesses through analysis. Then analyze and model these threats you simulate. And finally, risk analysis. Then you define and apply controls. So these two models are useful in different threat landscapes. You can integrate them. So whatever the threat modeling methodology, there are key steps that we need to follow. Define safety requirements. What are the information security policy that we want to have? What are our objectives? Then you identify information assets and likelihood threats. These are the type of threats we might have. And you assess the threat and see, okay, this threat we can absorb. The cost of mitigation is too high, so you accept the threat. There are threats you mitigate or transfer or you avoid. There are techniques in risk assessment that you find a method of treatment of the risk. Then you mitigate the threats with different controls and you confirm the threat mitigation with a review. You cannot just mitigate and see, okay, our threats have been mitigated. Are they really effective? Are they really working? That you have to look at. So, the method that I am going to talk about today is cybersecurity kill chain applies to all. Because all these methods have to focus on cybersecurity kill chain. So, what is cybersecurity kill chain? That is the methods or steps an attacker would follow before he makes the final attack. It is a generic attack model. There are stages of an attack. He goes through one level to the other level. So every time he gains certain advantage to do the final attack, execute the final attack. It is designed for a successful attack, and we have seen many attacks, especially advanced persistent threats, attacks against government, attacks against CIA, attacks against big corporations, has follows this cybersecurity kill chain. To do this attack, they have to have a strong motive like terrorism or political or financial motive. Without a motive, no attack will come. So one way is you can uh, discourage them to attack. Then there must be an opportunity to attack. The opportunity is the vulnerability of your system. If they are not vulnerable, they cannot be attacked. But every system have one or more vulnerabilities. Every software has one more bug, they say. Then there must be a method to uh, achieve his goal or exploit. So we need, they follow stages of attacks. We need defense in every stage, every step to kill the kill chain. This is what we are discussing now. So attack steps of kill chain are reconnaissance, then weaponization, delivery of the weapons, then exploit, install the certain software or tools and take the command and control of the asset. Finally, make the action on objective. They come for a, say, data stealing, data theft is the target. First, they try to find where can I find a vulnerability. Then he uses the certain tools and exploit this vulnerability and deliver them. Then he installs certain special tools for them to steal data and finally take the command and control. For example, if they get into your database server, how are they going to exfiltrate your data? How do they get the data out? So there is a technique that they can tunnel the data through DNS queries because firewalls do not care much about DNS queries that are going from outside from inside. So the DNS queries has a space for a payload. So they put the data in this payload and make a DNS query to a remote server, and the remote server get the data that is coming on the DNS query. So this particular software you have to install after you exploit the server. Take the command and control. So if we look at back, reconnaissance is gathering information about the target. Before they attack, they look at your target and to find vulnerabilities. There is a one method that is passive. The other one is active. We'll talk about it later. Passive information gathering, you don't even know that they are gathering information. Using who is queries and Erin, you can find a lot of information from Google and Shodan. It might show some of the vulnerable IoT devices in your network. You don't know. And your company website is giving so much of information about your organization, about your CEO details, his background, your financial officers. All these are big people. They can do whaling, they can do phishing attacks, they can use this information for spear phishing and water hauling and job listings. A hacker will apply for the job listing, and of course, is very good and you apply a hacker as your information security officer, then you are facing an insider attack. So how do you protect? Limit public information. You don't have to shout everything outside to the world. Acceptable use of social media, that is AUP policy. Acceptable user policy in your information security management system. Your users must adhere to that. Modify server error messages. When your server is giving error messages, they know what software, what versions, what database are in your server. So they can use different tools to exploit that particular vulnerabilities. And domain privacy controls. And you have to screen people when you hire them. So this is not only technical, it is also administrative and physical controls you have to bring in. They might come to your office. For example, when I went to the Inland Revenue Department for something, I was sitting in a place and next to me was there huge switch. I would have easily plugged in my laptop with a simple cable to their network because there were unused ports. Physical security. Then the reconnaissance active that you use. Nmap, port scanning, banner grabbing, vulnerability scanning. Disable all unused ports and services. Use honeypots. attract the hackers and find their IPs and block them and monitor them. Firewalls, IPs, SIDS, intrusion protection, as well as detection is important. Use Tor browsers and VPNs for important communication so that they cannot be intercepted. Block all inbound traffic. Why? Why you allow inbound ports? Weaponization. Find or create the attack, the weakness. There are millions of tools, thousands of tools. Metasploit, Aircrack-NG. Somebody come to your network or your premises with this small Raspberry Pi, 1 GB computer, 1 GB RAM computer. And he can control this one with his mobile phone. He connect this one to a USB power supply and just put it in your flower pot or something close to the Wi-Fi network. When he comes next day, he will pick up this one and he will have access to your Wi-Fi network. For example, one of the embassies in Colombo, their Wi-Fi network was available to their next building. They would have reduced the power of the Wi-Fi so that nobody can access to that Wi-Fi, but of course it is password protected. But if you have enough time, you can break into the Wi-Fi. So, Burp Suite for web application threat finding and social engineering toolkit. Very easily it can be used by an insider. Well framework, SQL map can threaten your databases, Wapati, and more. So one of the most important aspect of defenses for weaponization against patch management. Disable Office macros, browser plugins, have a good antivirus program. I use two antivirus software in my computer. Increasing the virus detection by two virus scanners. And email security, very important. Emails are used to attack networks through phishing and audit logging. So there must be administrative controls again and technical controls as well as physical controls. Delivery, which is now you know about the network. You have exploited it. You select which avenue to deliver the exploit. There may be many ways that you can, someone can hack a system through SQL injection, uh, privilege escalation. So your attack can come from your website, that means through the cloud or through social media, wireless, user inputs like using uh, user inputs are very important aspects of hacking. Email, USB. You might hire a disgruntled employee and an insider. Look here, give us these facilities. Can you plug in this USB to your one of your machines? He will do it for a fee because he is planning to leave. So, best defense is create user awareness. The users must know about the threats that they might face and web filtering, intrusion detection and prevention. Disable all USBs. The employees should not use USBs. And there must be a dirty machine on the network where you could disconnect it to the network, which can use USBs if they want, but with a special permission. Limit admin rights, DNS filtering, and encryption is very important when you're in your communication, like SSL, TSL, the kind of encryption in your websites. Any information coming and going should be encrypted. And exploitation. It is weapons delivery and attacks carried out. Exploit. You could do SQL injection, malware introduction, buffer overflow attacks, JavaScript hijack. That means your browsers can be can get hijacked, and DDoS attacks. You could convert your network to a botnet to attack somebody else. In Linux, they have this chroot. Disable the PowerShell in Windows. If you are not using, you don't need PowerShell on the server or in a desktop. PowerShell is a very attractive tool for attackers because it is living off the land. You just log in and you have the tools to do the rest. You don't have to install anything. PowerShell is there. UBA EDR solutions. Incident response is very important because you have to have incident response system which will mitigate your small little threats and monitoring. You can find indicators of compromise, and you should have recovery plans through your business continuity planning because recovery is a very important thing in threat modeling because no system is 100% foolproof. The threat landscape is always changing. Your systems are upgrading and changing. One mistake by employee, the system get hacked. So there must be good recovery plans like backups of site officers, uh, train people to work from home. So these are the risks that may you identify the risk and plan mitigation actions. And you next part step of the kill chain is installing advanced software to gain better access. You apply different payloads, you inject them into your DLLs, install remote access tools like Trojans. You can control your machine or server. Your ERP server can be controlled from outside. It's a networked world. Registry changes, PowerShell commands, and gain persistence access. And dwell in the system, live in the system for a long time. You don't know. And the defense is anti-exploit mechanisms. If you are developing software or somebody is developing your software, get them to guarantee secure programming techniques because at the system specification level, not after development, your security must start. And web filtering, like you could use Cloudflare to for web filtering to protect your web server. Again, intrusion prevention systems and intrusion detection systems, they are now available with machine learning, like software like Snowd or Security Onion can be used. So this advanced persistent threat begins here because you have all the tools installed in your system. Then they get the command and control, remote control by the attacker. Your system or your network or your router, your server gets controlled by the attacker. You can create remote logins, create a botnet using your own machines and to attack your own server. Nobody knows. And Trojans, privilege escalation, advanced persistence. The defenses are segment your network. People cannot just move from one accounts to marketing. NGFW, command and control blocking, DNS redirection, and many application controls are there. Restrict certain protocols. You don't need them. Most protocols are there in your system by default. your system by disabling the protocol and isolate certain machines, certain systems. Your IoT network should not be connected to your ERP network. The IoT is outside your organization. They are should not be connected to your main network. You can even have two networks, which is one is your brain, the other one is somewhere it can get hacked, but they cannot come to your main important network, critical assets. Finally, the hacker has full control of your system. He just have to do the damage, action and objective. He execute desired action. This action, this idea was there at the reconnaissance space. Could be financial gain, steal your data, political, political reasons, and espionage industry to steal your next product details, your research detail, your marketing plans. And it can be a malicious inside. Don't trust anybody. And lateral movement between your networks and from, yeah, you can use, uh, he comes to your network through throw and get the control. Then after that, he or she use your server as a gateway to other companies. So when they get hacked, they will find you, not them. So your defenses are data leak prevention mechanisms, user behavior analyze what they do, what they access, how frequent, uh, what kind of a data they download, and zero trust security is very important. Your CEO cannot be trusted with regards to access to your system because his son will use his computer to play a game at home, and he brings his laptop infected with a virus. So detect, respond, and recover with zero trust security, that you start not trusting anyone. Multiple authentication, two-step authentication, make it difficult for them to hack. So you develop multiple layers of security. First, physical controls that they cannot go in there, then technical controls, finally, administrative control. If you do that, you lose your job. Okay, so all in all, in abstract, how do you defend the kill chain? Because kill chain goes through different stages: reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, action and objective. Defend each stage. Make it difficult for them, even if they exploit and get into one stage, if they are successful. Make it difficult to weaponize. Even if they weaponize, make it difficult to deliver and exploit. Monitor your servers in such a way that they cannot install any other software, and they cannot, even if they install, they cannot run certain commands. Monitor them. So if they come to the last stage, the damage would be done. So you have to have again physical controls, administrative controls, and technical controls. It's not just a technical thing. There are administrative policy level controls. Now, we have ISO 27001 Annex A giving us 14 types of controls. They are administrative, physical, and technical. For example, your organization security policies Who can go where? Physical. Who can access what? Technical. Who would be authorized to access what? Administrative. So, data security, human security. When you hire, you screen a person. When a person leaves, make sure that he doesn't take any information. Manage your assets. How do you access control your systems? Single sign on is good, but when they sign on in one place, they can access almost all your services. In zero trust policy and single sign on is clashing. You have to make a policy. And cryptography, use RSA 2048 or 4096 encryption, VPNs with IPsec tunneling, and physical security is very important. Trapdoors, operational security. Do a pen testing every 6 months, every 3 months. It's worth your applications. SQL injection attacks, XRFF attacks, XSS attacks. So many type of attacks might come. For example, OWASP gives you top 10 attacks, but you might be attacked from not from the most popular attack. They might use an outdated attack because you have not patched one of your machines. Communication security. Your routers, your networks, your access points, they matter. System acquisition and maintenance from third parties, those who service your computers, those who maintain your networks, your ISPs, don't trust them. Supplier relations. Your suppliers are bringing things to your organization. For example, you are obtaining a outsourcing facility for tea making or cleaning, but they can get anywhere. The janitors can go anywhere. They can go to the server room. So your supplier relationships must have service level agreements, which is administrative. Then physical controls and incident response. Have a good incident response system and business continuity planning. What would you do if your e-commerce cloud server was hacked and you are making 1 million rupees worth of business every day? Are you going to lose that money when your server is hacked or if you had a DDoS attack? Have a backup. Quickly, you do the load balancing and server and you switch on to the other server. Frustrate the hacker. Finally, the compliance. That is where ISO 27000 coming in. So you find threats and you analyze the risk, you calculate the risk, what kind of a impact it will have, and what is the likelihood of the impact. And you can prioritize your risks and you apply controls. ISO 27001 gives you so much of controls. It's a except threat model. You can also see use mid-ray attack and other models. You can learn from other organizations, but they all finally come down to your organization and you are going to do mitigation and threat will be eliminated. It may not be fully eliminated because there will be residual threats. So thank you. I created this presentation and video uh, for my master's in cybersecurity, information security management systems. One of the quick assignments. So hope you enjoy it, and I would like your comments. Thank you.